All right, give me 7 minutes, just 7, and I'll show you how to think like a genius. No, I'm not saying you'll wake up tomorrow and solve quantum physics overnight, but I promise by the end of this video, you'll start seeing the world in a way that sharpens your mind, fuels your creativity, and helps you make decisions like the smartest people on the planet. And trust me, thinking like a genius is not about being born with a crazy high IQ. It's not about memorizing a bunch of facts. It's about training your brain to think in a way that most people never do. And once you get this, it changes everything. You ever notice how some people just see the world differently? While most of us go about our day-to-day lives, they're the ones creating billion-dollar ideas, writing groundbreaking theories, making impossible things happen. The secret? They don't think better than us. They think differently than us. They question everything. They challenge assumption. And most importantly, they don't see limits. They see possibilities. And that is exactly what I'm about to teach you. Question everything. You know what separates geniuses from everyone else? It's not just intelligence, it's how they think. Most of us follow the rules. We think inside the lines, stick to what we know. Geniuses? They play with ideas. They connect dots no one else even sees. They ask questions that seem ridiculous until they change the world. Let me give you an example. Back in the day, people thought flight was impossible. Birds flew because they had wings. End of story. Then the Wright brothers came along. Instead of asking, can humans fly like birds? They asked, what if we built something that mimics the forces of lift and drag? Boom, airplanes. Imagine if they'd just accepted that's the way it is instead of challenging it. The next time you hear that's just how it works, pause. Ask yourself, but why does it work that way? And does it have to? That's how breakthroughs happen. Steve Jobs did this with technology. Everyone was fine using bulky, complicated computers. He asked, what if computers were simple, elegant, and beautiful? That question alone changed the world. Step 1. Question everything. This is exactly how Einstein developed the theory of relativity. He didn't just focus on physics. He connected ideas from time, space, and motion. Same with Leonardo da Vinci. He studied art, anatomy, engineering, and combined them in ways no one else had thought of. And you can do this too. Here's how. Read outside your comfort zone. If you're into business, study psychology. If you love art, learn a little science. The more dots you have, the more connections you can make. Okay, so let's talk about mental flexibility. This is one of the biggest superpowers of genius thinkers. Most people think in a straight line, A leads to B and B leads to C. But geniuses, they flip things upside down, break patterns, and look at the world through completely different lenses. You know who mastered this? Sherlock Holmes. In every mystery, while others looked at the most obvious explanation, Holmes flipped the situation around. He'd ask, what if the most unlikely answer is actually the truth? Instead of starting with assumptions, he'd start with the question, what if everything we believe about this case is wrong? That's how he always stayed 10 steps ahead, and you can do the same thing. Whenever you're stuck on a problem, try these. Reverse the problem. Instead of asking, how can I succeed? Ask, how would I make sure I fail at this? The answers will show you what to avoid. Step into someone else's shoes. Imagine you're a competitor, a critic, or even a child. How would they see the problem differently? Break your routine. If you always brainstorm in a quiet room, try doing it while walking. If you always write with a keyboard, try using a notebook. New environments trigger new ideas. You'd be shocked at how many breakthroughs happen when you just switch things up. Now let's talk about something people hate, failure. But here's the thing, failure is literally the fuel for genius thinking. The greatest minds in history weren't the ones who got everything right on the first try. They were the ones who failed over and over and kept going. Want proof? Let's talk about Michael Jordan. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but guess what? He missed over 9,000 shots in his career. He lost more than 300 games, and there were 26 times when he was trusted to make the game-winning shot and missed. But did he let failure stop him? No, he used it as fuel. And that's the mindset shift you need. Geniuses treat failure like a scientist running an experiment. When an experiment fails, the scientist doesn't quit. They just tweak the formula and try again. Same with Thomas Edison. When he was inventing the light bulb, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Think about that for a second. If you're afraid to fail, you'll never try new things. But if you start seeing failure as a learning tool, you'll fear nothing. And that's when genius-level thinking kicks in. So the next time you fail, instead of beating yourself up, ask, what did I learn? How can I adjust my approach? What will I do differently next time? That's how you train your brain to think like a genius, by using failure as fuel instead of fear. You ever had a feeling about something like you just knew it was right, even though you couldn't explain why? That's intuition, and guess what? Some of the smartest people in history used it to their advantage. Take chess grandmasters. They don't analyze every single move. Instead, they trust their gut, which is really just their brain recognizing patterns they've seen before. The good news? You can train your intuition. The more you expose yourself to different experiences, the sharper your instincts get. Here's how. Expand your knowledge. The more patterns you recognize, the better your gut decision. Pay attention to your instincts. When you feel strongly about something, ask why. Test yourself. Make small decisions based on your gut and track how often you're right. Intuition isn't magic. It's just a genius-level shortcut your brain develops over time. Learn to trust it. Ever noticed how your best ideas come when you're in the shower or about to fall asleep? That's because your brain is most creative when it's relaxed. Take Archimedes. He solved a major physics problem while chilling in a bathtub. Einstein? He took long walks to think. Steve Jobs? Same thing. Want to unlock this genius trick? Go for walks. Let your mind wander. Step away from your work. Overthinking kills creativity. Sleep on tough problems. Your brain keeps solving them overnight. Sometimes the best way to think like a genius is to stop thinking so hard. Give your mind space and the answers will come to you. And guess what? You just learned how to think like a genius. But here's the real secret. This isn't something you're born with. It's something you train. The more you practice these techniques, the sharper your thinking becomes. And before you know it, you'll start seeing the world the way geniuses. So next time you face a problem, ask yourself, what if I flipped my perspective? What if failure is just a stepping stone? What if my gut is telling me something important? And what if the answer comes to me when I least expect it? Start thinking like that, and trust me, you're gonna change the game. If this helped you, hit that like button, subscribe for more brain-boosting content, and I'll see you in the next one.